Buddha's teachings. Learning how to let go for peace of mind. The secret to eradicating all suffering and sorrow. Letting go is one of the most profound teachings at the heart of Buddhism. Although often misunderstood as avoidance, denial, or emotional detachment from life, the Buddha's guidance on letting go is actually an invitation to experience genuine freedom. It teaches us to release the mental burdens, harmful attachments, and distorted perceptions that bind us to cycles of suffering. By learning to let go, we uncover a natural state of peace, a peace that does not depend on external conditions, but arises from within. In today's world, where stress, anxiety, and emotional turbulence have become everyday realities, the Buddha's timeless wisdom offers a clear path toward inner clarity. His teachings reveal that suffering does not arise from life itself, but from how the mind clings to people, ideas, expectations, and desires. To eradicate sorrow, one must understand and transform this habit of clinging. Letting go is not just a spiritual ideal, it is a practical tool that helps us navigate life with resilience, compassion, and deep awareness. 1. Understanding the root of suffering. The nature of attachment. At the core of the Buddha's teachings lies the Four Noble Truths. Through these truths, the Buddha explained that suffering, called dukkha, is an inevitable part of the human experience. However, he also emphasized that suffering has a cause, and that cause can be removed. The second noble truth identifies the cause of suffering as tanha, or craving. This craving includes desire for pleasure, aversion to pain, and attachment to fixed views about how life should be. All forms of attachment stem from the belief that lasting happiness can be found in things that are inherently impermanent. People cling to relationships, possessions, achievements, and identities, believing these will secure their well-being. Yet when these things inevitably change, disappear, or fail to meet expectations, they become sources of sorrow. The Buddha taught that to understand suffering is to understand impermanence. Nothing in life remains the same, and to cling to what is constantly changing is to guarantee unhappiness. Thus, the first step to letting go is recognizing the truth of impermanence. By clearly seeing that everything, our body, emotions, relationships, and material wealth, is transient, we begin to loosen our grip on the illusion of permanence. Letting go becomes an act of wisdom, not loss. 2. Letting go is not giving up. The difference between non-attachment and indifference. Many people misunderstand the Buddhist idea of non-attachment. They assume it means isolating oneself, avoiding relationships, or suppressing emotions. But the Buddha never encouraged emotional numbness. Instead, he taught upekkha, or equanimity, a balanced state of mind that allows us to remain open and engaged without being overwhelmed. Non-attachment means engaging with life fully, yet without clinging. It means loving without possessing, succeeding without being defined by achievement, and experiencing emotions without being consumed by them. In this sense, letting go is not passive. It is a courageous decision to stop forcing life to fit our expectations. Indifference comes from fear or apathy. Non-attachment, however, comes from clarity and compassion. It allows us to appreciate what we have without the anxiety of losing it, and to release what is gone without resentment. When we stop attaching our self-worth to external conditions, we cultivate inner stability that cannot be shaken by circumstances. 3. Practicing mindfulness, the gateway to letting go. Mindfulness, or sati, is the foundation upon which the practice of letting go is built. Through mindfulness, we develop the ability to observe our thoughts, emotions, and sensations without immediately reacting. This awareness creates space between our experience and our habitual responses. It allows us to see clearly how craving, fear, and aversion arise in the mind. For example, when anger arises, mindfulness helps us recognize this is anger rather than acting impulsively. When sadness arises, mindfulness helps us see the emotion without identifying with it. This is sadness, but it is not who I am. By observing the mind, we begin to see that emotions and thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky, impermanent and ever-changing. Letting go becomes possible because mindfulness reveals that clinging is optional. We do not have to hold on to everything the mind produces. We can choose what thoughts to nourish and which to release. Gradually, this awareness becomes second nature, reducing the grip of harmful emotions and creating room for peace. 4. The art of letting go of expectations. A major source of suffering comes from rigid expectations, how others should behave, how life should unfold, how we believe we should feel. The Buddha taught that expectations are rooted in the illusion of control. In reality, much of life is unpredictable, and the attempt to control what is beyond our power leads to frustration. Letting go of expectations does not mean lowering standards or abandoning responsibility. It means accepting that the world operates through causes and conditions, many of which lie outside our influence. When we soften our attachment to specific outcomes, we become more adaptable and at ease. For example, we can work hard without expecting guaranteed results. We can love others without demanding they meet our idealized versions of them. We can pursue goals without basing our happiness entirely on success. This flexibility becomes a source of freedom. When expectations loosen, gratitude naturally arises. Instead of living in constant disappointment, we learn to appreciate what is present. 5. Letting go of identity. The liberation. From ego, one of the deepest forms of attachment is attachment to the self, our identity, roles, beliefs, and the stories we tell ourselves. The Buddha taught the concept of anatta, or not-self, which challenges the idea of a permanent, unchanging identity. We often cling to labels such as, I am successful, I am a failure, I am this kind of person. But these fixed identities limit us. They bind us to past experiences and prevent us from embracing growth. Letting go of ego does not mean denying who we are, but recognizing that we are more fluid and dynamic than we realize. Every moment we are changing. Our thoughts, emotions, and even our personalities evolve. When we loosen the grip on ego, we become more open, compassionate, and authentic. We no longer need to defend a fixed self. Instead, we flow with life as it is. 6. Compassion and forgiveness. Tools for emotional release. Letting go is not only a mental practice, but also an emotional one. The Buddha emphasized the importance of compassion, karuna, and loving kindness, metta, as essential elements of release. Holding on to resentment, anger, or guilt binds the heart to suffering. Through compassion and forgiveness, we break these chains. Forgiveness does not mean condoning harmful actions. It means freeing ourselves from the burden of negative emotion. When we forgive, we choose peace over bitterness. When we practice compassion, we see that all beings, including ourselves, struggle with fear, desire, and ignorance. By cultivating compassion, we learn to let go of past wounds and move forward with a lighter heart. This emotional release becomes a powerful source of clarity and equanimity. 7. The ultimate letting go, understanding emptiness and freedom. The Buddha's teachings ultimately lead to the realization of sunyata, or emptiness, a profound understanding that all things arise due to causes and conditions and have no independent existence. This insight dismantles the roots of clinging. When we understand emptiness, we see that there is nothing to cling to. There is no permanent self doing the clinging. There is no separate object being clung to. This is not nihilism, but freedom. It allows us to engage with life fully while remaining unattached. Peace becomes natural, not forced. Letting go becomes effortless because we see reality clearly. 8. Applying letting go in daily life. The Buddha's teachings are not meant to stay in philosophical texts. They are tools for everyday living. Here are practical ways to apply letting go. 1. Practice mindful breathing. Pause and return to the breath whenever stress arises. 2. Observe thoughts without judgment. Allow them to pass like clouds. 3. Release what you cannot control. Focus on effort, not outcomes. 4. Let go of the need to be right. Prioritize understanding over ego. 5. Practice gratitude daily. It naturally weakens attachment. 6. Limit craving. Recognize when desire becomes unhealthy. 7. Cultivate loving kindness. Extend compassion to yourself and others. Conclusion: freedom through letting go. Letting go is not an act of weakness. It is an act of profound strength. The Buddha's teachings invite us to examine the roots of suffering and recognize how deeply attachment influences our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. When we learn to let go of expectations, identities, outcomes, and cravings, we free ourselves from unnecessary pain. Peace of mind is not something we chase. It emerges naturally when we stop clinging and begin to see life with clarity. The Buddha's path is ultimately a path of liberation, liberation from suffering, liberation from illusion, and liberation from the endless cycle of grasping. To let go is to transform sorrow into wisdom and suffering into deep, enduring peace. This is the true secret hidden within the Buddha's teachings, a secret that remains as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. 9. The path to true peace. Cultivating inner freedom. Step by step. Letting go does not happen all at once. Just as a tree does not grow overnight, the ability to release attachments develops gradually with practice and patience. The Buddha emphasized a step-by-step path, known as the Noble Eightfold Path, that guides us toward inner freedom. Right understanding. We begin by realizing the truth of impermanence and suffering. Without understanding the cause of attachment, we cannot truly let go. Wisdom is the foundation upon which freedom is built. Right intention. Letting go requires the cultivation of intentions rooted in renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness. When our intentions are pure, our actions naturally follow the path of peace. Right, speech, action, and livelihood. These three aspects deal with how we interact with the world. By speaking truthfully, acting compassionately, and choosing work that does not harm, we create a life aligned with harmony and non-attachment. Right effort. Letting go is not passive. It requires effort to let go of negative states and cultivate wholesome ones. Right effort helps cleanse the mind and strengthen positive mental habits. Right mindfulness and concentration. Through meditation, we train the mind to stay centered, present, and clear. A concentrated mind sees reality directly, making it easier to release illusions and attachments. When all 8 factors come together, letting go becomes not just a mental concept, but a lived reality. Inner freedom becomes our natural way of being. But 10. The courage to let go. Why it feels difficult letting go can feel painful, because we often mistake attachment for love, identity, or security. The mind clings to familiarity, even if it causes suffering, because it fears the unknown, fear of change. We resist letting go because change makes us uncertain, yet everything is changing moment by moment. Letting go aligns us with the flow of life, fear of emptiness. We worry that letting go will leave us feeling hollow, but in Buddhism, emptiness is fullness, a spacious state where peace can arise. Fear of loss. We believe that holding on protects us from pain, but clinging actually intensifies suffering. True security comes from inner stability, not external conditions. When we recognize these fears, we can move through them with compassion rather than allowing them to control our lives. 11. Letting go as a daily practice, small step that bring big change. Letting go does not need to be dramatic. It can begin with small acts throughout the day. Letting go of irritation when someone acts differently than expected. Letting go of the urge to win every argument. Letting go of the need for perfection. Letting go of negative self-judgment. Letting go of past mistakes. Each act of release is like lifting a stone from your heart. Over time, the burden becomes lighter, and your mind becomes clearer. The Buddha taught that liberation is not achieved through grand gestures, but through consistent practice. Even a few minutes of mindful breathing each day can open the door to peace. 12. Transforming grief and pain through letting go. One of the most profound applications of letting go relates to grief. Loss is part of life, and the Buddha understood deeply the pain of losing loved ones, health, youth, or opportunities. But he also taught that grief can be transformed, not by suppressing emotion, but by seeing loss through the lens of impermanence and compassion. Letting go of grief means allowing yourself to feel pain without fighting it. Recognizing that love exists even when someone is no longer with us. Accepting that change is part of nature's law. Releasing the illusion that things could have remained the same forever. When we allow grief to move through us, it becomes a teacher rather than a prison. It shows us the fragility and beauty of life, opening our hearts to deeper compassion. 13. The joy of letting go. What awaits on the other side? While letting go may seem like a loss at first, what awaits on the other side is profound joy. When the mind releases the weight of expectation, fear, and craving, it becomes open and spacious. Joy naturally arises, not the fleeting excitement of desire, but a serene, lasting contentment. This joy comes from freedom from mental conflict, acceptance of life as it is, compassion for oneself and others, a mind unburdened by regret or anxiety, the simple appreciation of the present moment. This is the peace that surpasses understanding, the inner stillness the Buddha described, a peace that exists regardless of external conditions. 14. Letting go and loving more deeply. Paradoxically, letting go allows us to love more deeply. When love is free from clinging, it becomes pure, generous, and unconditional. The Buddha taught that true love is not possessive, but liberating. Love rooted in attachment says, "I want you to make me happy." Love rooted in freedom says, "I want you to be happy, even if your path is different from mine." This kind of love creates harmony, not fear. It reduces conflict, fosters understanding, and deepens connections. When we let go of the need to control others, we open the door to authentic, compassionate relationships. 15. The final liberation, nirvana, as the ultimate letting go. Nirvana, the ultimate goal of Buddhist practice, is the complete release from attachment. It is the extinguishing of craving, the end of suffering, and the realization of profound peace. Nirvana is not a location, but a state of mind, a mind free from the fires of desire, hatred, and delusion. The Buddha described nirvana as unborn, unconditioned, unaffected by change. This perfect freedom becomes possible when one fully lets go, not by abandoning life, but by abandoning the illusions that create suffering. Letting go is the bridge that leads from confusion to clarity, from fear to courage, from sorrow to liberation. Conclusion: the wisdom of release. The Buddha's teachings on letting go remain one of the most transformative insights ever offered to humanity. In a world filled with constant change, uncertainty, and emotional turmoil, letting go is not a luxury, it is essential for peace of mind. To let go is to live fully, to let go is to see clearly, to let go is to love without fear, to let go is to end suffering at its root. When we learn to let go, we rediscover our natural state, a state of openness, compassion, and deep inner peace. This is the true secret hidden in the Buddha's wisdom. That freedom is not something we attain, but something we uncover by releasing all that binds us.